In this video, we will cover some of the best voice capture practices and some of the parameters to consider when purchasing equipment. First of all, let's talk about our situation with the environment. Room acoustics. The lowest sound reflection is best. As you can imagine, if you were to speak in your walk-in closet, you would find that it sounds very muffled. If you were in a room that had lots of fabric lying around, curtains up, things like that, it sounds different than when you're speaking in a bathroom or in the kitchen. So we want to have room acoustics at the lowest possible reflection. And ambient noise. Oftentimes you'll hear cars going by, loud motorcycles, etc. And so those are things that we want to not have occurring while we're doing our work. You want to be sure your client is seated or standing on carpet. Oftentimes people who are not used to being in front of a microphone will shuffle, and those noises will be picked up by the microphone. Also turn off any motors like air conditioning or fans or microwaves. Refrigerators kick in every once in a while and those might be heard as well. So any kind of motors that are in the area should be not running. As far as recording when engines are running, what I mean by that is sometimes you'll hear a truck go by or a jet fly over or a train or things of that nature. So avoid recording during those low frequency and very loud events. Of course, there are things that you'll be editing out anyways, like clearings of throat or coughing, maybe your dog barks or the phone goes off, etc. So any event that occurs while you're taking a recording that is momentary can be edited out easily enough. Let's talk about microphone placement for a moment. The microphone should be at a 45-degree angle from the person's mouth and 6 to 8 inches away from their mouth. The reason this is because when a person speaks, they often blow a lot of air and pops and things of that nature that will be recorded by the microphone. Also, you want the microphone placed at nose height. You don't want the diaphragm down in this area because of the same reason, because of the wind that might be coming out of the person's mouth that is not used to using microphones. So raise up the microphone a little bit and then aim for something around the nose, like that. So these are 3 parameters: 45-degree angle, keep it at nose height, and 6 to 8 inches away from the person's head. If you find that they're speaking very softly, then you'll be able to turn up the sensitivity, and that brings us to the next level. First of all, the frequency response of a microphone should be a minimum of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, meaning 20,000 hertz. Most microphones easily get up to 20,000 hertz. Several microphones will not get down to 20 hertz. So we want to choose a microphone that has that kind of quality, and Sound Health Options has some recommendations on their website. To show you what I mean by frequency response, we have some graphs of different kinds of microphones, and you can see how the shapes change a little bit. And so here's an example of what frequency response refers to. Some people ask about cell phones. You've got this wonderful $200 phone in your pocket. It's got a great microphone, etc., all these cool things. Well, this is an example of what these Apple products do. If you look at the 100 hertz, that's when they start kicking in more reliably. So anything under 100 hertz is uncertain. So we avoid using microphones that don't have at least 20 hertz sensitivity, and portable devices rarely do. Another thing I want to point out is a thing called signal-to-noise ratio, and that has to do with the ambient noise. If you're in a noisy background and there's a fan blowing or something, this pink line will be a lot higher in making its rumbling noises, and therefore the signal-to-noise ratio is lower. But when you're talking and you're in this range and the noise is down here, the distance is higher or greater. So you want to have a high signal-to-noise ratio, meaning you don't want to be able to hear a lot of background stuff. To review these components, room acoustics, you want minimal amount of sound reflection. You don't want sound bouncing off hard surfaces, floors, walls, ceilings, things of that nature. You want to have most of the sound absorbed in the space that you're working. And you don't want any constant running noise in the background. You might consider phonographs or cassette tapes. When you play them, there's a certain amount of hiss. That's the noise. The signal is the music you're listening to. You want to keep that noise level down, and that is something you want to be sensitive to while you're doing your recording. So if you do want to make sure you get the best quality microphone recording, you want to adjust the mic gain, meaning turning up the volume of the mic's sensitivity, so that when a person's talking, it's jumping about in the 3/4 range of the level meter that you're looking at. Most recording software shows you a level meter. For example, Audacity does. And if there is some pops where they speak really loud and hard and it goes into the red, well, when you're editing, when you see those things in the WAV file that they show you, you just remove them and you're good to go. I record a lot more than what they recommend. They say you want to make a voice file that's about 30 seconds long or so. I'll record maybe a minute and a half. And that way, when I clean up all these little anomalies in my editing, I know I have plenty of material. So another thing people ask about often are microphones. If you go to soundhealthoptions.com into their shop tab, you'll find that they list these 6 microphones. And you can find these range from $40 to $150 or so, I'm not really sure. But the one that you're listening to right now is the Samson Go mic. This is the one that I'm using while making these presentations. So these are recommended microphones, tested and tried and reliable for the work that we're doing with bioacoustics. Oftentimes people ask about portable audio recorders and cell phones. As I already addressed that, these are untested, therefore unapproved for high-level analytics. They're great for time-based type analysis, for example, NanoVoice or Compatibility Compass. But when it comes to really working with a client who might have some sort of serious issue that you're trying to address, the weakest link is the microphone. And since these are untested, they cannot be recommended. However, if you have placed an order for a microphone from the previous page, for example, and it's on its way, and you have access to the portal, and you want to play around with what you have available, let's say you want to try your Android, or you want to try your iPhone, there is an app on the Google Play Store where you can download a program. Be sure it records at 32 kilohertz and can sample at 16-bit and creates a WAV file, not a MP3 or some other format. You want to make sure that the app that you use on your mobile device records these 3 parameters: 32 kilohertz, 16-bit, and WAV. Also, obviously, phones record in mono. These are designed to record in stereo. If you have one of these devices, you can switch it to a mono recording. So these are the limitations that these things need to be able to address, even though they are not recommended or approved. So keeping these things in mind, you're going to be able to create the best possible WAV files you can with your equipment. Thank you for watching this, and we look forward to showing you more information about how to use the Sound Health Portal.